Welcome to the Berea Podcast. This is Troy.
And this is Della.
And we are on week 3 of a 4-week series we've got going on. This week, we feature Laura Paulette. She spoke at the Creative Work 2018 series at Native Bagel. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Laura talking about her work in art in Berea.
Hey, you all. Thanks so much for coming. I'm so grateful to see you all here for our, I can't remember, like 4th or 5th Creative Work talk. I'm really excited to hear from Laura. I'm a little biased, but I think we're really lucky to have her making art and selling her work in Berea. I feel like she is one of the people who, almost more than anyone I know, has set out to live her life in a really deliberately intentional way. And not just with her artwork, but the way she's created her life and her family's life, I really admire. So selfishly, I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say. And I'm excited because she brought so many visual aids. So it's fun that our space is small enough that we can see what she brought. So, okay, great. Thanks, Laura. Yeah. And I'm making a drink right now. Oh, okay. Great. Golden latte makes everything better, right? So I know a lot of you already, but I'm Laura Paulette. My business is Meadow House Studio. I paint botanical watercolors and have been doing that work for several years. But I thought I would tell a little bit how I came to be doing that work and where this came from, where this work came from. So I came to Berea to go to Berea College and studied studio art. I have a degree in fibers. While I was there, what I was doing was natural dyes and doing quilts, little art quilts with natural dyes. So that's what this work is. This is a old piece of mine. So all of this fabric is dyed with plants I either grew or collected in the woods around here. You can buy natural dyes that are processed so much. It's basically like RIT. You can buy powdered bugs, powdered bark, but I was really interested in growing stuff myself, collecting it, and processing it. So this is the work that I did for about a decade. I graduated, I kept making this art, and eventually had a little gallery and shop with my mother-in-law, who's a potter, here in town, and this was the work that I was selling. So I did have some success selling this work, but as you can imagine, these like super labor-intensive little quilts were really expensive. I sold some, but mostly I didn't. So I did that for a couple of years, and then I had a kid, and I was keeping the shop open with a toddler, a pottery shop, So it really quickly became, apparent that wasn't going to work out. So I stopped doing the shop. Teresa, my mother-in-law, still has that shop on Short Street behind the tavern with Bobby Craig, a jeweler. And I stayed home with 2 kids now, and still made art quilts. I showed them in shows. I, promoted myself as an artist and just did that whole thing. Then several years ago, so like in 2011, we got the opportunity to move back to Berea. We had been living in eastern Kentucky for a while. We acquired 20 acres of land out on Red Lick that were completely undeveloped. There was a driveway, and that was all. So Strider and I decided to build a house there. We built a tiny house, little like 300 square foot glorified shed basically that we lived in for 4 years. It does not have running water, it does not have electricity, but it was a really comfortable house actually. We really enjoyed living that way for a limited amount of time, having that experience. So when we built the tiny house and we were on this land, it was a strange, we were getting to know this piece of property. We were hiking in the woods. It's mostly wooded. We were clearing brush, making space for the house and gardens we wanted to create. And while clearing brush in January, I noticed how colorful in the brush pile some of the twigs were, right? So like, wild like blackberry canes, they're kind of like this purpley blue color. And then I noticed like, oh, and this willow is like really bright yellow. And this was in the middle of winter. I was really intrigued by how colorful stuff was. So I was like, I wonder if I could find a whole rainbow of little bits of things right now, today, just for that, just for the heck of it. So I found the little red, orange, yellow, green, blue little piece of nature and photographed it for myself, just to document it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, if I found a rainbow one week, I wonder if I could find a rainbow every week. This is like how my brain works, and it's like a theme for where I'm still at. So for the entire year of 2013, I did a 52-week project where I found a rainbow, photographed it, and posted it on my old website. Just as like a little practice, just as a little creative practice. At the same time, I was still making fiber art. I was homeschooling my kids. We were building a house. This was just one little piece of what I was up to. So that work then led to another visual aid. That work led to doing some bigger photographs like this. This is like a, one day in late summer, all the things that I could find in our woods and meadow to make a rainbow. I am not a photographer. I have no background in photography, but I used my little point-and-shoot camera and photographed a bunch of these assemblages. Good Bob Boyce word. These assemblages, and started showing this work. So this photography of nature-y things went from being just a little side project to being like my main work for a while. After I was doing that for a while, we finally sold our old house and had a pile of money, and we could start building our big house. And so this is a model that I built of the house that we now live in. And this was my main creative work for, a solid 3, if not 4 years. I stopped showing work. I stopped doing anything but like knitting. It really took all of our energy to make this thing. I like to think of this house as like installation art that you can live in. It really is like that, intentional and cool project. With this work, when I was showing it and pursuing that, I got my work published in a couple of magazines, which was incredibly, I got paid to do this work that I was enjoying doing, which is always like a plus, right? And one of them was Taproot, which is a little ad-free magazine that has articles and artwork that really line up with my values of DIY, living with intention, homesteading, all that sort of stuff. So I decided I wanted to write a little thank you note to the Taproot editors for including my work. And I had this big, light bulb moment where, if you think of a taproot, the taproot of a dandelion, the root comes down very long. I dug one up and then I forgot to bring it, but you'll just have to imagine. The root comes down, and then the rosette of leaves on the top of the soil, it kind of looked like a T to me. So I painted this whole word of little nature-y letters and sent it off to that magazine as a thank you. And then my same obsessive kind of repetitive brain, I continued to paint botanical letters. I would collect things from the woods, draw them and paint them, and just give them away as gifts and as, just fun little. I wasn't thinking about it as a business at all. But then the more and more I did it, I was like, man, if I could figure out a way to reproduce this could be a business. Because instead of selling like a $300 quilt or a $300 piece of original artwork, I could sell a $5 greeting card, or a $30 print. So I started researching how to reproduce my own work there are some artists that I admire, and I just kind of, nosed around on their websites, and some artists will say, oh, this is the type of printer I have, this is the kind of paper I use. So I just kind of did a bunch of research to figure that out for myself. I wanted to do my own printing because I'm really persnickety about the quality of the paper, that it matches the original artwork, so that way I could be in control of all of that stuff. So right around the time that I was thinking about doing this as a business, I took the Kaufman Fast Track program that Mason offers. I was in that group with some of the Arts Accelerator cohort. And so there was kind of a focus, the one I was in, to people who were doing a creative business. And that program, if you all have any interest in starting a business, and maybe not even starting, but just thinking about starting a business, it was really helpful to me. One of the things you do, in addition to, stuff like insurance or taxes or the nuts and bolts of a business, it walks you through the process of identifying if your business idea actually fits with the life you want to live, right? If your idea actually gels with your life. So I knew from my old experience that I wasn't interested in having a shop. I didn't want to keep 9 to 5 hours. I didn't want to be sitting in a shop on, midweek February days when no one comes in. I'd already had that experience, and I knew it wasn't for me. So I knew that I needed to come up with a different way to be a business person. So that Kaufman Fast Track was like a kick in the pants to make a plan and actually do it instead of just thinking about it. I can be on a commercial for you if you'd like. And it was Katie and I actually did it together. So the same time I was thinking about my business, she was thinking about her business. That was kind of a fun thing to do together. So after going through Kaufman, I did decide to pursue this and had to, if I wasn't going to have a shop, I had to figure out other ways to sell my work, right? That is the tricky thing. And I'm selling my work in Berea, Kentucky, in central Kentucky. I didn't want to, at this point, I'm not planning on traveling or, going above and beyond. So I actually started selling my work as an artisan vendor at the Berea Farmers Market. So you have to jury in to the market, become a member, and then for about 2 years I was a regular vendor setting up and selling at the market. And that was a great way to kind of have a build, there's people who come to the market every week, and you have people that are there, and then it's how do you build your own business that's there at the market? What you're buying is a spot, right? Then it's up to you to draw your own customers in, build your own relationships with people, and sell stuff. So that is when I started selling all the reproductions. I mean, I didn't even bring original artwork with me. I just assumed that people were at the farmers market to buy things that they could, consumable things that were less than $40. That was what I did. And I wasn't actually thinking about doing cards. I was doing little tiny prints of my letters. And then people are like, why don't you have greeting cards? I need a birthday card. And I'm like, oh my gosh, people still use greeting cards. That's so cute. But actually, because it's not my style, but that has turned out, I am not ashamed to say I sell a crap load of greeting cards. And when I developed all of this stuff, even though I was selling it retail, I priced it and figured out how to make it so that I could someday wholesale it. Since I wasn't having a retail shop, I knew I would want to develop those wholesale relationships with shops who would sell my work for me, so, and without having to like change my price. So I think that's really important if you're doing retail, to think about, is your business scalable, and are the prices you figured out, your prices should be able to be wholesaled even if you're not planning on doing it, because that's how you make money, right? All right, so I did the market. I juried into the Kentucky Guild and the Kentucky Crafted Program, the Kentucky Arts Council. The Kentucky Crafted Program is an amazing resource for artists. It has really given me some great opportunities to show and sell my work. So yeah, I did like the art fair. I do the art fair circuit. It's easy initially to look around and be like, oh my gosh, these other artists that I'm friends with are doing like a show every weekend. Like I should be going to Cincinnati or whatever. Like, but then going back to like, what do you want your life to be like? You know, like I don't want to spend every weekend hawking my art. So I try to choose the events either from advice from other people who are doing this, or just from my own experience. I try to choose one event a month for the year that I think will give me the biggest return for my time, and do that. And I don't get hung up on all these other opportunities I could be doing, because people want you to be at their event, right? Like for people organizing art fairs, it's good for them to have a huge selection of people. As an artist, you have to pay to be there. Some art fairs are a money-making thing in and of themselves. So it's really important to be discerning, I think, and really choose how your time is best spent. Yeah. So after I did this alphabet project, and I've been selling this alphabet stuff, I decided last year, right after the 2017, right after the inauguration, the Women's March on Washington was planned. And I was having some health crap at the time, and so I couldn't go to the Women's March. But I could submit a poster design. The march was soliciting posters to give out to marchers from artists around the country. They got like 30,000 or something insane designs, and they chose 5. So mine did not get chosen. But that design, which says "Love Your Mother," I really wanted I feel like often in the bigger conversation around feminism, rural voices often get lost, or they're not a part of the conversation. So my rural environmentalist feminism, I'm just laying it all out, I wanted that to be represented. So it said "Love Your Mother." I should have brought that, but I didn't. But then after doing that work, I was just really meditating on the word love, which is, I'm not thinking of that in like at all in like a romantic way, but just in like my affection for this place, for this region. The mountains that we live in are one of the truly most diverse places botanically in the world. Like, it's so special. When we visit my brother in Montana, I mean, there's truly like 2 types of trees there, like we have this huge richness that I want people to celebrate. I want more people to know about it, for heaven's sakes. So my love project, I decided to do another weekly project, and painting the word love with whatever was going on in my woods that week. So this one is the week of April 2nd last year. So this is a little beach leaves just coming out, mayapple, Christmas fern unfolding, and then this is meadow rue, which is like one of my favorite little plants. So that's that one. And I painted these and posted them on social media. And that social media turned out to be a really important thing because, the year is long, you all. Like, I got tired of doing this. But I am so, such a people pleaser that when I was on Instagram, I'm like, you know what, guys? I think I'm going quit doing this. People were like, you can't quit. Like, you got to keep going. So that was very motivating to have that community of people who were paying attention to my work and invested in it and wanted to see me keep doing it. So that was a good little moment to be like, oh yeah, I do want to finish this. You're right. But I did have fun as the year went on with messing around with seeing how if I could make the word love with whatever was going on, but make it not be the first thing you see, right? Like to me, you see the word here, you can see that pretty, right away. Whereas the word is here, but it's just not the first thing you see, perhaps. So I had fun messing around with that. Yes. So this project, then this weekly project, got me through the year, got me painting every day, and that leads to what I want to talk about next, which is getting work done, right? Like when you work by yourself, it's lovely, but it can be so hard to like get stuff done. And I have over the years developed a practice that I have a very strict schedule for myself, very strict work schedule. And I mean, at this point, I just read an article in the New York Times that's so timely. Our brains kind of crave routine and habit. So once you can get over the hump of the trickiness of creating a habit, then it's like smooth sailing. You want to get up and meditate and practice yoga because that's what you become accustomed to do, right? So that has been it's been the most kind of productive time of my career when I've had this super strict schedule for myself of meditate, yoga, so our tiny house is now my studio, which is great. So I walk out the door like I'm going to work and walk across the yard, and I don't go back to the house till it's time to eat lunch. And that also, I truly just turn my back on all the crap that needs to be done in the house, because otherwise I'd be folding laundry till the cows come home, right? So it's really good to be able to just walk away from that. So one other little piece that has been helpful to me in that way is, for a couple years I used bullet journaling. Do you all know about that? It's a big trend. It's a really helpful way to organize your thoughts and organize your lists and sketchbook. I'm a big list maker. So I use bullet journaling, and now I've switched to something called a Panda Planner, which is, it uses some of the ideas that people, that come from bullet journaling. It's just printed for you, so you don't have to fiddle around with, bullet journaling. You start with a blank gridded journal, and you fill it all out, and then you can use it. And I just got tired of that part of it. I don't want to create a carefully crafted, lovely sketchbook. I just need to write some stuff down. Keeping, it sounds really basic to me, but having a plan, I make a plan for my year, what my focus is going to be, and then for each month what my focus is going to be. And then if that's my focus, okay, well, that means this week I'm going to have to do this, this week I'm going to have to do this, and then this day I'm going to have to, really break it down so you can get stuff done. It's been really helpful to me. So I have business cards if you want to look me up, and I also have my mailing list if you want to get a very rare email from me about what I'm up to, what show I'm doing, what workshop I'm teaching. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. All right, thank you so much.
Alrighty, thanks so much for listening. Alrighty, I have a tip for you this week to get your bagels even faster. There's an app called Cloosive, CLOOSIV. Go to where you get apps, and you can order over that app. Walk into the store, your order's paid for, they just give it straight to you at the counter, and you're back on the road. There's no waiting in the store. So think about that. CLOOSIV.
I didn't know we used that. Have you used it before and gotten the bagels there?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, I like to go, though, and sometimes wait. I drink my coffee. I enjoy it.
Very true, very true.
Because you get to see all the friends from Berea. But if you're in a hurry, this sounds like a great idea.
Yes, absolutely. There's the presentation of this week and your tip. Thanks so much for listening.
Bye.